This is Infection, the survival podcast recorded live on Tuesday, September 21st, 2021, episode 349. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. My name is Nick Craig. You can visit my website at nickcraig.com, nickcraig.net. You can also check out my other daily radio program and podcast. Just search Wilmington's Morning News in your favorite podcast app, and you can listen to my shenanigans for 3 hours each and every day. And then, of course, our website, infectionpodcast.com. Joining me, as he does from the great state of Idaho, Brian with an I, Aldridge. Hello, Brian. How are you?
I am doing very well. Getting some good night's sleep after some time in Vegas. And hopefully, I'm sure we'll have some stories about those. Things we did there, or maybe we won't. We'll tell them in Discord or something, or maybe after the show's done. We'll see. But it was a good time. Everybody made it home safe. Everyone made it there. I don't think anybody got sick while they were there. We didn't have to wear our masks all the time, which is kind of nice. But all right, let's go ahead and get the contact info out of the way. At Brian Eldridge and Gavin Parlor, my blog biteoftech.com. But make sure you go to our website infectionpodcast.com, and on the right hand side where it says join our server on Discord, you can go there and submit news in a news channel. You can hang out. We got tons of ARC servers going. Just a lot of stuff to do in there. And it's the primary way if you want to contact us, you can do that through Discord. We do have a Steam group that once the time change happens, I'll start doing the notifications through there again so they don't pop up in the middle of the show. And then we have video forms of the podcast. So there's Twitch, YouTube, BitChute, and DLive. And also we have some podcast extras, which has a couple of pre and post shows, so you can see what those are like. If you want to listen to the show, you can do that to the lower right-hand side. And we have whatever platform, device, however you want to listen. There's a lot of ways to do it there. And we've got multiple links that'll help you find that for yourself. If you want to follow along while you're listening, just go ahead and click on the particular episode that you're looking at or wanting to listen to. And you'll be able to click all the links that we have, details about every article and videos, PDFs, if there's something about a patent. We got lots of information in there, and that is all for free. And we have that for pretty much every episode since the first episode. So lots to go back on. And then supporting us, you can do that through the support option up top or infectionpodcast.com/support. Prime Gaming subs, Humble Bundle, Amazon Prime, there's a lot of different things that you can do to support us, subscribe, star, and those are all on the website. So thank you very much for everybody who does already.
Yes, sir. Here's a picture -1 of our illustrious crew and rocking it out in Lost Wages, Nevada. Brian rocking his Nintendo tech support shirt as always, a staple of traveling. Wore his H1Z1 shirt like a jackass.
Hey, not a single person came up with it to me and said I missed that game. Not a single person.
I was really kind of hoping that one person would be like, "Holy shit, I haven't heard about that game in 5 years," and be like, "Yeah, I know, us too."
I know, that's what I was hoping for, but nothing. So no. I figured there'd be somebody in Vegas that liked H1Z1.
So overall, a good trip, good time. Nice to see Brian and our I'm trying to remember his title, our producer Sean. I think we had him listed as a producer whenever we
probably producer,
fudged media badges to get into PAX. Our producer Sean, who obviously helps a lot with the production here of the program, and met up with our buddy Tag Durante. Look at that.
Yep, got it.
Jonesy and one of Sean's friends, Christian. So it was a good time.
Yeah, so that worked out really well, and I think we made a wise decision to leave like early for you, late Saturday night or early Sunday, because it gave everybody time to get home, no rushing into work or anything like that. Like we had time to get home and actually relax, and that was really nice because we do a lot of walking around. I mean, we had a lot of time, kind of at the Airbnb hanging out, but there's a lot of just walking around, and it was nice to finally just come home and relax.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up my my little Apple Fitness app to see. I think it'll show me the summary of the past couple of days. Of course, it's making a liar of me right now. When were we out there? Let's see. I walked 7 miles on Wednesday.
Yep.
I walked 8 on Thursday. I didn't have my watch on Friday. I walked 5.5 on Saturday, and then 2 on Sunday. So yeah, lots of
walking.
But yeah, overall,
I lost my phone one day. That was a big.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but yeah, Brian left his phone in an Uber like an idiot.
Yeah, and so it took pretty much the rest of the evening to get that back, but got it. I think we left pretty much with what we came with, or a little bit more.
Now let me ask this: did you guys check out of the? Did you follow all of the Airbnb checkout instructions?
Yes, we did. Yeah, I made sure, because it said or charges will apply.
Yeah. So I left the earliest. So I tried to do my part by doing all the dishes and whatnot the day before, because I was not there for the cleanup.
Yeah, we went through, picked up all the trash, kind of made sure everything was as close as possible.
Kind of felt bad about that, but
it needed to be. It worked out perfectly.
Didn't really have a
it worked out perfectly.
Better solution. But great time. Vegas was fun. It's cool to meet up with everybody. Tag is still here and with us, which is good. We thought we might lose him after some of our antics over the weekend, but yeah,
it's like these guys are ridiculous. It's probably what he was thinking. Just didn't want to say it.
So I think I don't want to put the horse before the carriage, or the carriage before the horse here, Brian. But it seems like a trip next year is probably a done deal.
Yeah, and I think the kind of the timing of it wasn't too ridiculous to take it off work, right? I mean, it was a short enough amount of time with the weekend to get there and get back. Yeah, and I think even, just coming in early Friday morning for us, or Thursday, how we did it Thursday midday worked out pretty well, because we still got pretty much the experience, plenty of time there, saw everything we needed to see, and I think by the time it was done, it's about the right amount of time where everybody was ready to go home.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Right as I was leaving Saturday night, there was nothing. I was like, oh man, I just wish I could have gone and done this one.
I should have gone and done this. And I was like, I'm ready.
Well, not that I was ready to leave, but there was nothing else that I was like really jonesing to do. I would have gone if I was there for another day and just hung out at the casino more. But we had done plenty of that over the last few days. Did you guys bring your big slushy cups home?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we brought them home. So
I got
we got those. I think Jonesy's the only one who left his.
Ah, damn. Well, so yeah, it was a good trip, and thanks for coming, everybody. And we will be likely planning something at some point next year, depending on what PAX
Green Man
looks
said.
Like.
Green Man said that like yesterday they lifted the travel ban from Europe.
It's not. It's not until November.
Oh, is it? Did they just announce it? Oh, okay, they announced today. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So still, he wouldn't have been able to come no matter what. So next year, for people, you will be able to fly in if you want to hang out, either PAX or to something like this.
Yeah. So we'll make a determination probably early in the year if we're going to do PAX and or Vegas. Obviously, we won't do them at the same
time.
Well, they're like literally like 2 weeks apart. But yeah, we'll figure that out. So that is. That's that. So yeah, there you go.
All right. Is there anything else we want to cover before we jumped into some news?
No. What you got for me?
All right. So there's been a lot of articles because a report came out about the PC gaming hardware shortage, and it seems that finally people are realizing that it's almost a year later of since the video card market really tanked. I mean, it's like a year ago that it seemed like the supplies were out. You couldn't get them because COVID, everything had kind of just hit a point. Well, they're not coming back, and people are really concerned that it's going to be difficult. This is something that changes, the kind of thing that changes studios to start making games for maybe console only like they used to more. PC was just starting to get to where they're making them for all of them, and now there's becoming many less PCs running a lot of these things because you can't get modern day video cards. And they're saying that it's looking like that it's actually I heard, weeks ago or maybe a month or two ago, I saw an article kind of hinting at, it's, we're starting to get video cards again. Well, it seems to have kind of turned around, and it's just going right back again, because in May it started to get better. And then it started to tank again. I think that was what they said. Either it was like a peak or a low in May. I'm trying to remember off of their thing, but it's just, we're not getting our video cards. The quantities are not coming back. And so a lot of these where they rely on PC, they're using like the built-in video cards and things like that. And just the modern games can't run that. So I think we're going to hit a point here where it's going to become a little bit of a mess.
It's already a mess.
Well, Melmo's pointing out, you can't even get a console. You can't get a modern console. You can't get a modern, but you can get some of the old consoles that are, extra stock, that they're still unloading for nearly the same price. I mean, it's not like they've dropped the price of the old consoles that much.
Well, it's not even that. If you look at the used market, you can buy 10,000 and 20,000 series cards used on eBay for those cards are going for MSRP prices of the new cards that nobody can get. That's how limited the supply is right now. It's a true issue. It's been going on now for the better part of 2 years, and I'm not sure that there's any. Honestly, Brian, I'm not sure that there's any end in sight. I've given up on. I'm not actively looking. I don't really care. It is what it is. There's no new game. Fortunately, games like Grand Theft Auto 6 are still so far out that by that point, Christ, I hope I can get my hands on that
straightened
card.
It out,
but fortunately, there's not a bunch of new blockbusters coming out. Cyberpunk was one of them, but that was well optimized enough that it ran well enough with decent graphics on older cards like mine, which is a 1070. But thankfully, we don't have new Fallouts, new Skyrims, new GTAs all dropping in the market this year, because nobody on the PC side would be able to play them without it looking like Minecraft or Roblox. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yep. And this is, I don't know. I think that this is just going to keep culminating unless somehow they figure out one thing. Bitcoin, from what I understand, Bitcoin tanked a lot today, or there was a recent tank in Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's been going up and down now for the past couple of weeks.
I think that if they can finally kind of get away from using the cards for other things, or just start making cards again. How long are we going to use COVID as an excuse for shortages? It's going to take a while to build back up, but there's got to be a point where people are back at work. The materials needed are being mined and gathered and produced to where they can finally not use COVID as an excuse for not having hardware. Because it's going to be years going by.
The problem you have now is most people do not buy a new GPU every generation. There might be a generation or even a 2-generation lag between when you get cards. The problem that we're running into now is because the supply shortage has been prevalent for so long, not only are new people wanting to build new PCs and get into PC gaming and needing those cards, but then you've got people like myself that are also ready for an upgrade. Everybody is ready for new cards at this point right now. Everybody. There are very few people that are not waiting for either a new upgrade or a new build. For example, I just want to slap a new GPU in this thing. I don't need to do an upgrade. I just need a new GPU. I've got a Ryzen system I built last year. Very happy with it. I just need a new GPU, and I don't even necessarily need it right now, but everybody is in the market because there has been no supply for the better part of 24 months. Everybody is on the upgrade cycle right now. And there's still no supply. There's still shortages, and it's just kind of an unmitigated disaster, frankly.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think this is something that hopefully it doesn't keep lasting for years, because it's going to start affecting what games people are producing. They're going to start producing less and less of these cutting edge, pushing the limits games, which they were kind of starting towards right before COVID, was really pushing the limits. And you got Unreal Engine 5 coming out, or this is going to really push it into the cloud gaming spectrum, where they have the ability to create these computers and get all these cards, and they're pretty much renting them out to people because people can't run the games, the new modern games anymore, or without paying. Because right now, what video cards can be half the price of a whole gaming system. Just the video card can hit that much. You know, I mean, you could spend $1,000 on a video card and $1,000 on the rest of the computer, easy.
Oh yeah.
And that's crazy that the prices are going there. Where it used to be, you'd spend maybe, you know, $500 on a video card, you know, and the whole computer, you know, you can maybe get starting out to a minimum of $1,000 with that, you know, for depending on how you wanted it. And this is the prices just keep going up and up and up. And you figure with COVID, I don't think this recent uptick is the cause of any of this. I just feel like it should have been started going down and maybe recently go up with the uptick, but it seems like it hasn't been. They show that in May there was like an availability all of a sudden, and then the thing just dropped off immediately. So there's like no pattern to this, and it's frustrating.
It's very frustrating.
And a lot people in chat are really talking about they're talking about these old cards that they have that are still running modern games. I think that the developers are cutting back on. They're not trying to push out new cutting edge games because what's the point right now? You can't get a modern console that runs ray tracing. You can't get a video card that runs ray tracing. Why do you need a game that has ray tracing anymore? Most people do not support it. And these reports come out of like these these companies that do statistics on, you know, what computer systems have, and they're just finding that people are not getting the modern video cards. They can't get them like they normally would.
Yeah. And it definitely, it not only is an issue for the consumer, but it's also an issue for the, as you said, the developers, because great, you know, you can build some real pretty game and make it look nice, but when, you know,
but if nobody can display it, that's the thing. Unreal Engine 5, it's not going to run on these really old cards correctly at all. You know, you're pretty much, that whole system's going to be sitting there waiting for the video game market to really come back before they start using it.
I mean,
and I think that's going to cause a problem.
Here's the current Steam hardware survey as of August 2021. Top 5 cards: 1060, 2060, 1050 Ti, 1650, 1050. 1660 Ti, 1660 Super. There's not a 3000 series card till, what is that? A dozen cards down, and that's only 1%, 1.5%.
And that's after my 1080.
It's after my 1070.
That's the card yeah.
And the 1060
so,
and the
people,
1050.
People aren't getting them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
so this is a big problem. The fact that so many people are using these really low end cards, that's what these developers are looking at. Well, why making a super modern game when only 3-4% of the user base can use them? You know, to that potential. Are you going to waste your time putting in everything to be super nice when it won't even, you know, only 3% of the user base can turn on certain features. 5% of the user base can turn on certain features.
And you look at these two things right here with the 1060 and the 2060. The 1060's got 10.14% using. That's up almost 1.5%.
That means people are still buying them.
Yes. Yes. Same thing with the RTX 2060. It's up 1.3% since last month. Meanwhile, the only 3000 series card on here is about a dozen cards down, the 3070, and that's up
and the smallest, and it had the smallest amount of increase. Yeah,
0.2%. Yeah, nobody's getting these cards. It's a freaking disaster.
Yeah. So I think it's going to continue. I wanted to point that out because there's a lot of articles. I posted 3 different articles of people talking about it, but they're all referring to the same report and just everybody's realizing it's not getting better. Yeah, it's just staying worse. Let's talk about. Okay, we mentioned cloud gaming. Okay, you got something else?
Before you do that, I want to thank our friend Green Man Cartoons for hitting us up with the 44-month resubscription here on Twitch. Green Man, thank you very much. We missed you this past weekend, but hopefully we'll see you here in the upcoming year.
Hey, so I wanted to talk a little bit about Stadia. Because another one of the top executives for Stadia has left. I don't know how many signs there are that this is a failing project or that they're winding it down. But they've had a number of top executives for this step away and move to other areas of the company, or some of them have moved to other companies. But it's lost its director of games. And that's, you know, This is their internal game division, so that's one of the top positions for this. Before, I think they left, they lost like their VP for this. Just people are leaving, and I'm surprised they're still pushing this and kind of saying it's still an option. If I were them, I would just get out early before it becomes a PR nightmare as they continue to sell these silly games that they're not going to have a platform for, I think, in probably 5 years. I just don't see Stadia staying around long enough. And, what are they going to do? This is one of the first times they've had people purchase licenses for products inside of one of their products that most likely will go away.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people buying games and things like on a mobile, or even buying music. What are you going to do to let them get that game out? Are you going to give them a license on another product?
You're SOL. This has happened. You remember services like GameFly and all these other things that they had, these early game services that were all trying to compete with Steam and everything. They all shut down. You lost. And
so I think that's probably what's going to happen here. And they have little hardware devices. I mean, they got all kinds of stuff. So manager Phil Harrison, he's going to be the lead on Stadia now, as the current lead. But I just think that they're kind of just winding it down, getting people out of it. They've got it to where it's going to be kind of a service for other people. I don't know that they're going to be doing too much work other than, keeping it going. So, this is kind of what we guessed would happen back at PAX when we just saw how they were treating everybody. It was kind of a pathetic look from them.
Couldn't happen to a nicer group of people.
Okay, now I actually have one thing that I should have talked about previously, but Nvidia may be pulling out the RTX 2060 from retirement due to the price problem that they're having right now. It is what they say is one of Turing's cheapest RTX graphics cards. So that would be one way that you get an RTX. That's why you're seeing people getting that 2060. It gives them the ray tracing, and it gives them a decently priced card compared to the 3000 series. So they may be starting to spin those up again. One thing they talk about in here, that the chip within this RTX 2060 wasn't the full chip that they had in the 2070. So I don't know. Maybe if they re-release it, they would do the full, fix the chip on it, because it was a partial chip on that one. So it'd be interesting to see if they just put out an enhanced version of this and kind of leave the other one for a little while, because they can't. There must be some resources in it that they can't get, but they can get one of these. So.
Well, this is so
cheaper.
hopefully the manufacturers still have machines keyed and tooled to produce the 2060 series card, and that they could start spitting these out, because I don't think I would
these
buy
are still going to be way overpriced. They're still going to be way overpriced.
No, not MSRP though. I mean, yes, on the secondhand market.
Well, what I'm saying is these things are going to sell for fairly expensive. That's why they're selling these ones, because they're the cheapest for the dollar, for the price.
Yeah, I think
it's the best value.
I think for people that have 900 series cards, this is the next step. For people with 10,000 series cards, I don't think a 2060 makes sense.
Unless you really want ray tracing. I mean, this is your minimum kind of ray tracing card.
Yeah, I mean, true, to each their own. I can tell you personally, I would not buy a 2000 series card having a 1070. If I had I think I had a 960 prior. If I still had my 960, I'd probably jump on this. But at some point, the lower end 3000 series will be back in stock, just not right now. And Falcon's mentioning that the 10,000 series cards are still good. They are, but eventually you run into the point where now the developers are now having to decide, well, how do we make our game? How do we do this with our game when none of the user base can take advantage of the graphics, the settings, and the things that, we're spending tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars building in terms of graphics.
And it's like when people almost kind of move towards a mobile type of attitude. They start doing mobile games when this happens. Third world countries or developing countries, a lot of times what they do is they have mobile. A lot of people are playing mobile games because that's what they can afford. And I think here, I think the hardware is going to start going towards that. If they can't fix this problem, we're going to start doing more mobile type of things or tablet type of things. They're going to adjust to the market and use what we can get. Hopefully with this, whatever it is about the 2060, just maybe it's the price and people would be willing to pay, for whatever this thing's going to cost in the current market, where they know they're not going to pay $3,000 for the 3000 series.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you sparked something that happened to me Sunday when I got back into town. I went out and watched some football with a friend, and there were a couple of new people there that I hadn't met before. And I was talking to one of the guys, and he was mentioning that he plays Call of Duty. I said, "Oh, what do you play on?" And he said, "I play on mobile." And I was I same age as me. I think he was 24. And that is the first time I'd ever talked to somebody in the wild, and because he was mentioning something about how he was chatting with one of his buddies while playing Call of Duty, and I said, well, what are you playing on? Mobile. And I was like, damn, I guess some people are playing it on mobile.
Well, and the levels are very similar to the full version. Like, there's some levels in there, and they're almost identical. I've played the mobile a bit. It's just difficult to control. If you had a little controller, you could mow people down on a mobile. But it's difficult, and the games are going to adjust. They'll probably go to these kind of a mixed mobile, mixed desktop game.
Well, and it's for people that want to sit here and say that people aren't playing games on mobile. Well, Brian, you're wrong, because top mobile game revenue worldwide in August had PUBG Mobile at the #1 spot. Now, again, this is mobile games. Take that for what it's worth. But beating out some of these other popular mobile games is, in fact, you got to go all the way back to your roots to find an Arma 3 mod, an Arma 2 mod that turned its way into an H1Z1 game mode, that turned its way into a standalone PC game, that turned its way into a console game, that turned its way into a mobile game. And it is the top overall revenue game on worldwide in the last month of August. So obviously somebody's playing it, and 61.5% of PUBG's mobile revenue was in fact from China, but 7% of it, 9% of it was from the United States. That's a significant amount of money.
And I think that's part of it. I think a lot of the kids coming into this market, they can't get the consoles, or they don't want to pay $500, or their parents aren't, or maybe they're just changing. Maybe they don't.
Well,
they're not as tied to the consoles anymore as they used to.
Let's think about it like this. Let's lay this one out. You're 23, 24 years old, out of school, first full-time job. Say you got a girlfriend, you live with her, single bedroom apartment. It's probably more realistic for you as the guy to have more time playing something like PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty Mobile, or Fortnite Mobile than it is using the single TV in your one-bedroom apartment in your living room that your girlfriend's not going to like, sitting there and playing Call of Duty. So for this, not only is it probably an easier experience because it's a little bit more private, you can just kind of, play it whenever. But you think about that mindset, it makes a lot of sense. Again, I'm not the norm of my generation, I don't think, in terms of, having the full setup in here and all the consoles out in the living room or whatever it might be. As time goes on, I think it while it's not for me, and it's probably not for majority of our audience, it for certain instances and certain groups, I can see it making sense. I really can. Yeah.
Well, and I think that, the people get locked into their current generation and assume that that's how things are. And then as you get older, you realize, everybody's doing things differently. With this current generation coming up, they may gravitate towards mobile. It just may fit the lifestyle and things that they're doing. A lot of the cool games they enjoy, they can play Fortnite on mobile. They can play PUBG on mobile. There's a lot of games that are getting, or a Switch. I mean, look at the Switch. That's still kind of mobile gaming in a way. I think they're going to, that's a very realistic, because we now have devices, and look at the new Steam device coming out as well. I think we finally have devices that make realistic mobile gaming viable, more than a mobile game, like a mobile, like a Candy Crush that we're so used to. So I think that is it. That it is very possible that it's maybe the demographics are changing. Maybe mobile is not going to be frowned upon like it used to be with our generations.
Well, Brian, I have to do this.
Yes.
You were playing a lot of mobile gaming when we were out in Las Vegas. You are in fact a mobile gamer.
Yes.
Why do you play?
I do.
Well, why do you? So let me ask you why. What is it that draws you to it?
Kind of what you're saying. For me, I'm working, and usually I'm waiting on something, and I can play a game while I work. I don't have time to sit down and focus 100% on one thing. I just can't. I don't have time to do it. I'm usually doing a couple things at once. Yeah, so for me, that makes sense. Mobile gaming makes more sense because it's quick.
Yeah, we were sitting in the Airbnb, and one morning we were all playing poker. You were sitting in the corner playing, and then later on that evening we were watching some television. You were doing the same thing. It seemed to be, you didn't have to, you weren't lugging, obviously you weren't going to lug around a freaking Xbox with you, or whatever, but for certain instances and certain use cases, and if the game is optimized to work on mobile, which obviously PUBG Mobile is, you seem to enjoy it. So obviously something is right.
Well, I think that the hardware is finally catching, and the technology is finally catching up to make a mobile game viable. I mean, the versions of mobile games that we played years, from your youth and even before that, it's very different than what I think is current.
Flappy Birds,
Flappy Birds. It's very
Angry
simple
Birds.
games. Now you're playing things PH is pointing out, you can get decent controllers now to actually play on your phones. For a while there, phones were getting really big, and then they started shrinking back down again. I think that they're going to get to kind of the optimal size for gaming that people are really using now.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Tencent, there's a lot of Roblox. Tencent, like Honor of Kings, top revenue game in the market, so they're making a lot of money off that one.
Sorry, I muted myself to cough, and I forgot to unmute myself. No worries. Yeah, but and a lot of this obviously is taking place in China, which makes a lot of sense. But we could see some of that changing now because of the recent regulations and rules that have come out. I assume a game like PUBG Mobile in China is going to fall under those restrictions that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. That would be my guess. No, it's just it's a mobile game, so you've got 3 hours a week, I think. I don't know if it's just PC games. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I don't think they're going to I don't think they want kids playing PUBG anyway, so it may not be as affected as like Fortnite for certain, because you got a lot of kids playing that. Oh, so let's okay, you mentioned Arma 3. I just wanted to mention something that happened this past, actually 2 weeks ago. An Indian channel over in India was using some Arma 3 gameplay footage to claim that Pakistan bombed Afghanistan. And they had a clip, and it ended up being Arma 3 gameplay footage that they were showing. And and so they played this in what was pretty much a messed up report on their channel. So there are some links to that. Here we go. Do you have audio
for it?
PUBG
gameplay.
Spokesperson has been killed.
It's Arma 3.
Has also been killed by the airstrikes that is currently happening in Panjshir at this point of time.
That is literally from an Arma 3 trailer.
Yeah. So that's what they were playing as supposed video footage of the attack. I thought you'd appreciate that. Since you mentioned Arma 3.
Here is the video. Here is the video from the trailer.
This does not look like tracers whatsoever.
Yeah.
They're round. Like circles. These are Arma 3. This is not... They had very bad visual effects.
That's not very bad, but I don't know what
look at that. Okay, come on.
I don't know what that was. Those look like...
Those are tracers.
Yeah, okay.
Now, there are some things that actually look pretty good, but you just watch for their video, the little effects, like bullet effects and all that stuff. That's how you can tell it's Arma, because they didn't always get that right.
Yeah. So there you go. Good stuff. So
there'll
be a link. There'll be a link in the show notes for the full video of that.
All right. I've got another one here. We got China things. I mean, there's lots of craziness. Let's talk really quickly about. There's one other hardware thing I wanted to discuss. And I thought it was really interesting technology, but it's a patent that was really recently placed by AMD. And this is a teleportation for qubits. They are patenting teleportation. Means, okay, here we go.
Well, I know teleportation, but what the hell's a qubit?
It's a very small. I gotta remember what cubit. It's a very small thing on, I think, the chip or something like that. Like very small. Like it's represents. I'd have to look it up, but it's something very small on the board.
Saul Greatman, who works in this field, says
quantum bit.
Quantum bits for quantum computing. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very small. So they're looking at teleportation, which is a way that rather than sending things down wires, that they would have it to where they spin together. The qubits. If this is how they're doing it, I'd have to look more closely at the image because it's actually, if you look at their little document they have, it was pretty. The patent file, it's pretty convoluted with how they describe it. But a lot of times they are linked, and then when one spins, it allows you it spins instantly on the other side, so you don't have to traverse a wire. So it's a way that they can get faster communication and not be limited by whatever the resistance of the wire that they're using to transmit the signal, or however they're doing it. Short of, because it's difficult. So the only way they could get something really fast is through light, using some sort of light for it. But that's just not very easy to do. So this is something that they're going to try. So I was kind of shocked when I saw it, but it is an up and coming in quantum computing. I think it's pretty cool. So at some point we probably will see some of this, but a lot of this is probably for major quantum computers. It'll take a long time before it trickles down to us.
Let's talk about a new survival game, Brian. This is a relatively new trailer and game that has been announced. It's called V Rising. And it's a survival game. It's actually a
survival game, yes.
Yeah, I know, where you're a vampire. So before I can hear the collective moaning and groaning of our various audience members, let's watch the trailer and see a little bit about what V Rising looks to. This is their official gameplay trailer.
Rise from your deathless slumber. You are a vampire, a creature of the night. Explore the unknown and start gathering resources. Survive a world full of danger. Hide from the deadly sunlight. Begin rebuilding your castle piece by piece. The time has come to regain your power and claim what was once yours. Gather your army of darkness and conquer every corner of the world. Stalk the night. Hunt for blood. Become terror itself. Of the night have returned. The vampires are rising.
All right, Brian, what do you take away from that?
All right, so it can be a multiplayer game. It's got co-op, PvP. So they have servers, like 50 castles per server. Mm-hmm. You can play solo, you can play with friends. So it'll be interesting. I think it's an interesting concept.
Kind of looks like it kind of looks like a Dota, or it kind of looks like kind of that top-down MMO style.
Even kind of like a Diablo style.
Diablo, sorry, that's what I meant to say. Diablo, not Dota. Yeah. Diablo, yeah.
So it looks very interesting. It looks like it has a good progression system.
The base building's interesting. Look at that.
It looks interesting to me. Yeah, it's different than most survival games that we've seen. It's in a different environment. It's got different features. I just thought it would be interesting for people to see, because we don't see a lot of good survival games. Valheim still doing very well. This looks very similar to that, but with an interesting story behind it. So
it supposedly is going to be in some sort of beta this year. It is on Steam. If you search V space Rising, you can add it to your wish list and get information about it. But yeah, look, I mean, you know, I don't know what you 2-minute gameplay trailer. Take that for what it's worth. But
take a look into it.
Yeah, and if you look at the price, if it's a $30 game, that's kind of the sweet spot and sweet point for a game like this. So something for you survival freaks in the audience might be something worth adding to your wish list. We'll throw a link to the Steam page in the show notes of episode 349 on our website, infectionpodcast.com.
All right, yeah. So that's V Rising. Another thing that not really a lot to show with it, but I put a link to the New World soundtrack. They put the whole soundtrack up there. It's like an hour and something. It sounds really good. So if you want some music to listen to, give it a listen. It just seems like they kind of broke it up, into one long thing, but they've got chapters to it, so you can kind of see what the songs are. Very high quality. It sounds really good. They have a nice little kind of background and things that change as you watch it. So I put that in there if people want to go hear it. Maybe throw it in the background while they're working or something like that. But it's very peaceful and calming. And some action scenes in there too. So, all right, let's talk quickly about China. And they've been doing a lot of things with video games. Seem like they're becoming very vocal in video games. Well, they are calling for less effeminate men in video games. Now,
that's
is China.
Something I can get behind.
The Chinese. So as they slow down their approval for games, they're bad. Of course, they're battling game addiction and failing morals, as they say.
Or communism.
Or communism. I know. Yeah. It's not funny how that works. But what they're also saying is they don't like the fact that they are so effeminate in their video games. They want them to be more masculine. If you go to the bottom, they have an image that shows the American and the Europe version of a character in League of Legends, and then they show what it looks like in China.
Is this the one you're talking about?
So that's our version, and then scroll down. No, scroll down. That's their version. So, they remake it. And they want them to put more masculine things and quit having it be so effeminate.
Our version is pretty.
That looks effeminate to me. I mean, he's got long hair. He's got big boobs. So this is now what they're concerned about. It just sounds like they're just looking for any reason to tighten down on their rules for what games are being put out.
Interesting.
So,
GG.
Yeah. So we'll see if they start forcing. It'll be funny if now, like, all the games coming out of China, the men are like He-Man was and all that. All right. Here's something that's more related to one of our games that we cover. Funcom, who makes Conan Exiles, has done some acquisitions. Now, you may wonder, how have they done this? Well, they now are owned by Tencent, which means they're owned by China, so they really have unlimited money. So they went and bought all of the IPs for the games that they make. They own all of the IP for Conan now. Conan the Barbarian.
All of Conan?
Yeah.
Wow.
So here we go. Let me read. Okay, so let me read the exact quote just to make sure. Funcom today announced the acquisition of Cabinet Group, home to dozens of intellectual properties, including Conan the Barbarian, Mutant Year Zero, and Solomon Kane. Cabinet's Group entire portfolio will be incorporated into the IP studio and Funcom subsidiary Heroic Signatures. Funcom CEO Rui Casais probably said he has high ambitions for the IPs and noted at least one announced project is already in development. That's China money. That's what you call China money. Remember, they were almost out of business when they started. They were on the verge of bankruptcy. They just bought the IPs for, I'm assuming you don't just go and buy for cheaply all of the Conan the Barbarian. That's multiple movies, multiple games, and you now own the rights to them.
Good.
So, I don't know if I like China owning the whole thing.
Well, but I'll say this. The prior Conan stuff has kind of been dead. obviously Funcom is buying this because they have some idea and some notion to revive some of that. I mean, outside of Conan Exiles coming out 5 years ago, what was the last Conan thing that was done? The late 80s, early 90s? I mean, it had been a significantly long period of time since we'd had any Conan
Schwarzenegger,
stuff.
they could revive it, without Schwarzenegger, have a new actor, revive it for a modern era, because he's not coming in and
that movie came out in 2000. That movie came out in 1982.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they can come out with a new Conan with a new star and continue, because there's a lot of lore behind Conan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
I think they could.
Yes, I don't necessarily disagree with your assessment that it's not great that China is owning it, but But in the same vein, the current holders of the IP weren't doing anything with it, so who cares?
Well, and that's very true. Exactly. And that this, at least they're going to Mutant Year Zero. It's what I would like to see. I mean, they could make some pretty cool movies that, they have some very unique characters they could do a lot with. Yeah. I'd like to see more Conan games, or movies. I'd like to see them without Arnold and, just a modern story, because I like that world that they were in. You can think what you want about Arnold Schwarzenegger and all that, but the world and the stories that they had a lot of good stuff there. You can think I don't enjoy him in movies. I think my wife can't stand him, if I remember correctly, but it's just, they're going to go do it now. Solomon Kane, what is that? Isn't that an old movie? Solomon Kane.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a movie from 2009. So they bought the rights to a movie which has something, I think, to do with like vampire hunting or something like that. So maybe that's another game that they're getting ready to do. Oh wait, he converts to Puritanism. He's a mercenary who converts to Puritanism and renounces violence, and then who knows? He does something. So that's Solomon Kane, but he's carrying a sword, so he obviously doesn't renounce violence that much. But it sounds like they're getting ready to just roll out more and more games, because they got all the funding they could want now. Well,
and now they have the IP. Well, it wouldn't surprise me. I know Tencent. Okay, here's a far out one. Tencent is a media company as well, so maybe the possibility of a new Conan movie in conjunction, or a Netflix series or something in conjunction with a game, would be a very smart move on Funcom's part. And here's the thing: while Tencent does own them, from all indications of updates that have been done since that acquisition, Funcom still seems to be very much in the driver's seat. They've been doing updates that make sense for the game, so I don't think Tencent did not acquire Funcom. They bought Funcom, and Funcom is still operating separately. They didn't swallow Funcom, and now Conan Exiles is a Tencent game. It's still a Funcom game, but they are just owned by Tencent. Which I think is an important justification, though. That's a very important thing.
Oh, yeah, it is. Now, do you think this has any link to that other topic we discussed, where they're saying to get more masculine in their games, and then now they have purchased the rights to like a Conan the Barbarian IP? I mean, it's just kind of odd timing to go together.
I think Tencent is a privately owned company. I mean, I know that they've got a lot of control from the CCP, so I don't necessarily think there is a connection there, but it is very interesting.
But if they're told that they're going to have to make their games more masculine, why take your most masculine game you got, which is Conan the Barbarian, and go with it? Like, that's the most masculine game you can get, and that's going to perfectly make them happy with what they're asking for right now. There's not guns. It's all old style stuff. I don't know. It just seems to fit into what they want. So we'll see. We'll see if anything comes of it. They did say they got more games and titles, as Nick's hinted. Maybe there's some more shows and movies and things coming out from it as well. I'd like to see more, because it's tough to watch some of those old shows because of the acting and the graphics, but the worlds that they created were so cool that it'd be nice if they kind of continued those going, kind of like what they did with Mad Max. Now, you can think what you want about the new Mad Max movie or movies, but it's an interesting world that they're building in. I think that this one's an interesting one that can continue in games, and people would still play it.
This is good. This hopefully will mean more. Conan is a really fun game. So hopefully this is good for them.
Yep, and then it seems to be continue to stay active. All right,
Yeah.
let's. We're running out of time, so
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes.
okay.
You want
I'm trying
to
to think
play
of
the
what.
Sea of Thieves video?
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk because this is a new patch that was put out, but they put in something, that's very different than their usual gameplay model. So let's go and play this really quick, and this I think should be available now, season 4.
Sunken secrets and forgotten treasure wait beneath the waves. So take a breath as we plunge into the depths and uncover new features, voyages, a boatload of new rewards and much more in Sea of Thieves Season 4. The Sunken Kingdom has awoken, and players can now dive deep to uncover the secrets of 6 unique siren shrines or claim plunder from treacherous treasuries far below the waves. Each siren shrine poses unique challenges and threats, and also houses plenty of plunder for daring crews who can solve the mysteries that wait within. Pirates who are eager to test their mettle against the sirens and their ocean crawler army should set a course for the nearest siren treasury. These sunken storehouses will pit pirates against an onslaught of undersea enemies, though the spoils of battle make the fight worthwhile. Coral treasures of all kinds will earn rich rewards when handed into the trading companies, who are eager to recover what the sirens have stolen. The riches you uncover in the Sunken Kingdom might draw the eye of other pirates sailing the seas above, so a cautious exit strategy might be your best course. Fortunately, pirates can make use of sunken merfolk statues found in shrines and treasuries to safely store their loot, then meet with the helpful merfolk on the surface to retrieve it. The locations of both the treasuries and shrines have been freshly marked on the ship's map, and crews who seek them out should watch for a telltale shimmer on the surface of the sea. A sure sign that a siren stronghold lies below and is ready to be explored. Pirates should also be on the lookout for new coral-encrusted message bottles. These will grant you new voyages that will send you and your crew deep into the Sunken Kingdom to find a rare and valuable treasure, the breath of the sea. Great rewards await those who return this mysterious substance to any trading company. There are new commendations to complete too, and those with the skill to sniff out all the secrets of the Sunken Kingdom can earn the Sunken Sorrow ship parts, Scar, and weapons. And pirates who manage to put together all the pieces of the Sunken Kingdom's past will also be able to earn the exclusive Coral Curse. Season 4 also brings another 100 levels of remarkable rewards to unlock, which are free to all players. Earn renown throughout the season, and you'll be able to have it all, including the Siren's Wrath ship parts and the Wicked Web clothing set. Pirate Legends can also get their hands on the Cursed Adventurer Cutlass and Wanda's Spyglass too. And there's new emissary rewards to strive for, so fly the flag for your chosen trading company and earn these superb ship parts. And with Season 4 comes a brand new Plunder Pass, available as an optional purchase, where you can earn 11 all-new additions that even the Pirate Emporium vendors have yet to lay their hands on. This includes your first glimpse of the larcenous Jackal-Looter, courtesy of a masked costume for your pirate, as well as the matching Jackal-Looter weapons. And there's even choice cuts from the Jackal-Looter ship set, an autumnal-themed tribute to the pilfering pumpkin-headed trickster. There's also the vulnerable weapon pose emotes, which are perfect for pirates in combat who would much rather be anywhere else. And over in the Pirate Emporium, there's new cosmetics that pack a serious bite. With the crocodile-themed ensemble of the Golden Nile costume, no one can call you anything other than a snappy dresser. The new victorious weapon poses are the perfect way to showcase the vibrant colours of the Golden Nile weapon sets. And get ready to set sail in full reptilian regalia with the Golden Nile ship set. Raise anchor and prepare to glide across the water like the pirate predator you were born to be. And for pirates who love a practical joke, there's plenty to bring a smile to your face in the Absolute Joker remote bundle. And you can even grab the drama emote for free. How about that? So prepare to adventure below the waves, uncover fantastic new rewards, and reveal the mysteries of the Sunken Kingdom in Sea of Thieves Season 4.
Thank you very much.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, he got you. He got you. I love that.
Damn it.
So 2 days.
Welcome back.
2 days and that will be released. So very good. Yeah, 2 days and that new expansion. A lot of new things. But I thought it was interesting. They're going, rather than trying to expand out, they're going to the ocean, which is, we were hoping they would do with Ark more. Yeah. But Sea of Thieves is doing it. They did have some things where you can go get sunken ships and.
Well, what's the other
down.
game? Atlas. Does an Atlas do some of that stuff?
Yeah, Atlas. I haven't heard. I mean, they were supposed. Well, when your ship sank, you'd go and get your loot out of it. In Atlas as well. So
okay,
we'll see. We'll see. See if that takes off and if it's actually fun. I mean, hopefully it's not just something kind of like with the island. You just go to the island, you dig up something, and then you leave. I think they could create more story out of it. Let's talk about, before we close out here, let's talk about Steam for a few minutes. First of all, last week Steam turned 18. So 2003 is when it went public. And so it's 18 years old this month. And then we've heard a lot about this new Steam Deck. And it comes, we heard that it would pretty much run the whole Steam library, correct?
That's what we've been told, yes.
This is something that they claimed, but that's not true. And looking at now that people are starting to see how it works, they've got this thing that they use that's kind of an interface between it and these games, and they call it Proton.
Proton.
It's going through, Proton, and it will go and make a lot of these games compatible with this device, and so as Proton updates, it'll start to be more compatible, but they have at least 16,000 Steam games currently compatible. And then I'm sure they're going to continue to update that. But right now, it is not capable of running every single one of them because not all games are compatible with Proton.
Well, but let's understand that, or let's unpack
Discuss.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
The device isn't out yet, so once this device gets out and as it gets closer to launch, you will have more and more developers that will change whatever needs to change for their game to run. I mean, that's not. Yeah. I'm not surprised by this. The device isn't out, and the developers are just getting their hands on this thing. So that's not really surprising to me.
Well, and now that people are seeing this Proton, they can start making it work with their games. If they want their game to work on this, they'll make it compatible with Proton, or they'll work with Proton to help to get support added so that it works for. Because maybe it requires, certain engines. Once they get it to where that engine is supported on Proton, they can import the game. So maybe the engine that you built your game on or that the game is on hasn't been supported yet and they can't import it. I assume that they didn't do 16,000 by hand, that there's a reason, they can get chunks of game because they make it support certain drivers or, whatever it is, a certain engine. But I'm with you, Nick. I think that's going to change. I think that by the time this thing releases, almost every game, and maybe the ones that don't, there'll be ones that be like, that doesn't matter. That's some handwritten game that we're not going to bother making it compatible with their handmade engine.
For sure. Like H1Z1.
like H1Z1. And there was another one I found pretty interesting. That there was a patent that Steam made that lets people play games, or, the concepts they're showing is it lets people play games while they're downloading the game. and they have a little patent file.
That's already the case on Battle.net with Call of Duty.
Yeah,
you don't have to have the whole
instant
game. Yeah, you don't have to have the whole game installed. I know my Xbox and PlayStation knowledge is a few years old because I don't play mine. But for a period of time, because the games would rip off of the disc onto the hard drive, there was a percentage, like 40%, where the game was playable. I know Battle.net does that now. I've done it with Call of Duty. So that's interesting that Steam would look to. If anything, Brian, they're behind the 8 ball on this, because I think both of the consoles do it, and Battle.net already does it.
Yeah. It's okay. So this is like those, like the Origins, Battle.net. But this one, they say, is more seamless and does not just restrict you to like a tutorial stage or put you into a special level or in the game's menu. Which they're saying is not play as you download. Those ones are more of like waiting in game menus to download. Well, okay, no, let's Battlefront, the one with Star Wars, right?
Battlefront 2.
That one loads you into a little level where you're fighting Darth Vader, and then you just do it over and over again. So they do it that way. There's other ones where they'll load the beginning levels. So they kind of get the minimum, like what you need to load into the beginning areas of the game, and that downloads that first. This is somehow different than that. Like this, I think, is more of kind of pulling resources from multiple locations and just getting it to where it works at the beginning.
Well, I think,
and you can start playing, and it keeps downloading as you go.
Yeah, I think what you want, though, is what you just described. The first couple of levels are the first thing to download so that you can hop in and play those while the rest of the game downloads. I think with Call of Duty, the way that it works is the multiplayer installs first, because that's typically what most
and
people
then
are
and
into.
then single player,
and then which is much larger. And I think you can. I think you even pick. I think you can pick. It's been a while since I installed Call of Duty.
Yeah, I remember that. It says, do you want to first start with the single player or the multiplayer, and then that downloads that one first. That's different. This one's supposed to be much more seamless with how it works. So we'll see if they implement it. I haven't seen a hint at them doing that, but I'm sure if they have a patent on it, they're probably working on it.
Well, there you go.
So we will find out. Yeah, unless there's something else you want to cover, we could go into some other topics. But that's
no. I think we are good to go. So I'll bid you adieu, Brian, and ask you where people can find you on the wonderful place we call the internet.
Yes, you can find me at Brian Aldridge on Gab or Parler. Of course, my blog, biteoftech.com. And then our blog, infectionpodcast.com. Just go there, right-hand side. Join our server on Discord, totally free. Mobile app, web-based app, desktop app, lots of ways to communicate with us through there. If you're going to do that, I encourage you. If there's a topic that you think we're not covering, that we should be covering, a game that we should be covering, whatever it is, put it in the news channel, and we'll review that before the show starts. Got our Steam group that as soon as time change happens, we'll be going back to that. Got Twitch, YouTube, BitChute, and DLive for video. We have those streaming live and after the fact. And then we have the podcast extras if you want to check out some of our pre and post shows. Down at the very bottom right, we've got all the links to the audio versions of the podcast. So if you want to listen, you can pick whatever platform is convenient for you there. And then follow along in the show notes. Click the particular episode. We got links for all the different topics that are discussed during that episode. So sometimes if you're listening, you want to see a video, we'll have a link directly to that video to make it easy for you. We've got a listener and a player right inside of there. And that makes it to where pretty much everything that we see while we're doing the show, you have access to as well. If you want to support us, go to the top either on the menu option, there's support, or infectionpodcast.com/support. We've got in there Amazon, Humble Bundle, Prime Gaming, Subscribe Star. There's just lots of ways that you can support us. As you heard, thank you, Green Man, for example, 44 months in a row of supporting the show. That's pretty incredible. So thank you very much for everyone who does that.
Yes, it is greatly appreciated. Brian, it was a pleasure. It was nice to see you this past weekend. It's been
it was fun to hang out. Thank you very much.
Been far too long, and it's just funny. We met a couple of new people. At least I had, and actually I don't. Yeah, no. Well, a couple new people that Brian had met. One of them, and I hadn't. And it was just interesting to see how quickly everything kind of just mended together, and everybody, like, you take the sometimes people think it's awkward when you meet people online. I
didn't feel any of that at all. Tag Durante, that was the first time I met him in person, and I just felt very at home talking to him. Didn't feel weirded out or anything odd about him?
The only awkward part I'd say was when we were watching our Gary's Mod video in the living room. That was a little uncomfortable. I sounded like I was about 15 years old and making fun of a
hey guys.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but what are you gonna do? So, Brian, thank you. It's always great to see you, and we'll see you here next Tuesday.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Alrighty, folks, that's going to do it. My name is Nick Craig. You can check out my daily radio program, all 3 hours of it. You can check out the Wilmington's Morning News podcast in the Apple podcast place, the Google Play Store, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Wilmington's Morning News, and you can click on my lovely smiling face and get access to that each and every weekday. Well, if you missed any portion of this program, there's really only one place to go. That's the official website of the show, infectionpodcast.com. You can check out trailers, videos, show notes, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.